What's going on, guys? Welcome to the video. Right, before we start, I just want to thank the channel's viewers and subscribers for the support last month. The channel had 2.3 million views in July, which is nuts. I also want to thank the channel's 17 Patreon supporters, 5 Subscribe Star supporters, and all the people who have donated through Super Chats or PayPal. Some of the messages you include with them are absolutely insane, but in a good way, so thank you. Now, back to the video. The BBC are going back to the medicine scare stories if we go out with a no-deal Brexit. I thought this nonsense was finished, as it was never going to be a real issue, but no, the BBC have an exclusive letter, which, when the words exclusive are used in their Project Fear claims, sends a shudder down the spine, as that is them saying we have evidence that no one else has, so you cannot verify its authenticity. It sounds like the Guardian's recording from Boris Johnson's neighbours a few months back that we never heard, but every single left-wing media outlet managed to hear it and use it to smear Boris Johnson. Well, the most recent claim is surrounding getting supplies for hospitals that are time sensitive, and how a recent no-deal Brexit dry run failed in some way. Obviously, this claim is completely ridiculous since you can't do a no-deal Brexit dry run when we're still in the EU. The BBC claimed this was written by doctors, which makes me very concerned about the level of intelligence our doctors have. If they really made the claims they did a no-deal Brexit dry run while we are still in the customs union. But let's hear what Newsnight had to say about it anyway.
Doctors have called for urgent clarification of plans to supply crucial cancer treatments in the event of a no-deal Brexit. Newsnight has seen and learned. In a letter to the Prime Minister, exclusively seen by Newsnight, a group of senior doctors, including the Royal College of Radiologists, say that a dry run of emergency deliveries of medical radioisotopes used for diagnosis and treatment of cancers, attempted earlier in the year, revealed problems in the system. This is on the day, don't forget, that the Treasury announced a further £2 billion for no-deal preparations, some of which is meant to cover medical supplies. Deborah Cohen is here with the story. So, Deb, what's this all about?
So we've reported on past warnings from the Royal College of Radiologists about potential delays to treatments and scans that rely on radioisotopes. And that's because you can't stockpile them in the same way as you can for drugs and devices. They're unstable. Now, radioisotopes are used in scans to see how the body's functioning. They're used in certain cancer treatments. And an estimated 1 million people a year rely on them. And senior medics say we're heavily dependent on Europe for our supplies. Now, usually they come in by road, they go over ferry, they go through the Channel Tunnel, and there's no customs, and it's done at night when it's quiet. Now, in February, the Department of Health announced that in the event of a no-deal Brexit, the UK's main radioisotope suppliers had committed to 6-month air freight contracts. Now, since then, we've seen a trial run of these alternative routes. And there were a few problems raising fresh concerns, and this is what the medics have written to the government about today. Now, here's Dr. John Buscombe, President of the British Nuclear Medicine Society, one of the signatories, about why they've written the letter.
We get a bland reassurance that everything will be okay, but we don't get any details. We don't get any understanding of what we should do if something is late, what we should do if something doesn't turn up, who can we contact to make sure these things happen.
So what were the issues with the dry run?
And we've got a map to trace the journey here. So the radioisotopes are taken to airports in the Netherlands or Belgium, where they go through local customs and are loaded onto specially approved planes. And there may be delays in local customs. We're not sure how a no-deal Brexit could impact this. This is out of our control. Then the radioisotopes are then flown to East Midlands Airport, and weather conditions, quite relevant, can affect air transport, resulting in flight cancellations and disruption of air freight. Then at East Midlands Airport, the radioisotopes need to go through UK customs. And this is actually where there were problems in the dummy run earlier this year. The cargo was actually held up, and deliveries can end up stuck in a queue and can be delayed. Next, the isotopes are loaded onto vans for distribution by road, and they have to be delivered by trained accredited drivers. They're classed as dangerous goods. And the medical organisations are asking if more drivers are going to be trained to cope with this extra work. And of course, there's an extra cost to all of this. At the hospital, the radioisotope is then delivered into a secure safe before the beginning of the working day, and that's normally before 6 a.m. And this all tends to happen through the night because the roads are quieter. Later in the day, there's more traffic, more potential for delay, and any delays at any point can cause extra delays in treatments and scans and additional costs. Now, in their letter, the medical organisations wanted reassurances that customs delays won't happen again, which minister will be responsible for all of this. And they also asked if there'd be enough trained drivers and if hospitals will get extra money to cover all these new costs. And we've put this to the various departments, and this is what the Department of Health and Social Care told us. We recognise the vital importance of medical radioisotopes, and action is being taken to safeguard supplies in the event of a no deal. We are working closely with all our partners and our plans should ensure that the supply of medicines and medical products remains uninterrupted.
Deborah Cohen, thank you.
Okay, so the doctors claim in this exclusive letter the BBC Newsnight Program has that they did a dry run, as I said in my summary, and it brought up problems. Which, of course, if you have half a brain cell, you might realise these problems are with the current system, not a no-deal Brexit system, since these are doctors who did this dry run, not Customs and Excise or any other government agency that would actually have the authority to change custom regulations to do this test. I'm sorry, but I'm not buying that a group of even top doctors in the country can walk into West Midlands airports and demand that they do this and that so they can test the no-deal Brexit emergency delivery. Does that seem a bit too far-fetched to anyone else, or is it just me? I wonder if I got a bunch of professionals to do a dry run of getting something like French mustard from France as a means for preparation for what might happen in a no-deal Brexit scenario. And if it goes through perfectly fine and arrives on time during this dry run, while we're still in the customs union, remembering, like the doctor's dry run was, will the Newsnight show do a piece on that, like it's proof a no-deal Brexit won't be a disaster? I bet they fucking won't. In my opinion, the credibility of this whole segment is questionable within seconds of Emma Barnett opening her mouth. So they will move these radioisotope deliveries to airmail from the road and ferry routes it takes now for some reason. Like the Channel Tunnel is going to be sealed shut now we're leaving the EU. Get real. Even so, by air they claim there are big delays going through customs. Of course, completely forgetting that customs regulations are controlled by the EU as we are in the customs union. I said it earlier. We are still in the EU, so the dry run issues could easily be EU regulations that would not be relevant in the event of a no-deal Brexit when we can make our own regulations. The BBC host should be pointing this out, but of course, she does not. They bring this head doctor on instead, complaining that they have no plans in place if things don't show up, when it's clearly forgetting this government's been in power for a week. The reason you don't know anything is because Maybot did fuck all planning. Of course, the BBC and the doctor know this. It's just another worthless smear attempt by them to throw some more Project Fear out there. The editor they got on to explain then shows us a map of how the radioisotopes get into the UK. So, straight off the bat, they have used guesswork to begin their journey, which has automatically skewed their results, making this test completely worthless. I'm sure it would have taken her a few minutes to check how non-European countries get clearance to fly stuff from Holland, to get a rough idea of how long it would take in the event of a no-deal Brexit when you're on WTO terms. The trade deals already exist. I'm sure it would be nearly identical as sending stuff from Holland to the United States, for instance. She brings up weather conditions that affect air transport, but that can also affect boats and trains. Shit, the trains stop running because there's leaves on the track or it gets a bit cold. The planes and airports are far more reliable than Britain's public train services when the weather gets a bit shitty. Cargo planes can likely fly through slightly rougher weather than a passenger plane, since a passenger plane has to consider passenger comfort along with safety. Cargo planes don't have passengers, so only thing stopping them flying is going to be safety concerns. Okay, we finally get to where they claim there's an issue, and it's in the fucking UK Customs Office at Midlands Airport. The wonderful thing about it being a UK customs issue is that we will control customs procedures from the 31st of October. So if this issue really existed, it would be pretty simple to fix it. She said the cargo was held up. I bet she did not even think for a minute that it was held up because customs might think it looks a bit suspicious. It's a parcel that has come from the EU, trying to avoid normal EU regulations that customs will be legally required to follow, causing them to take a closer look at it, therefore slowing its progress. You don't need to be a fucking genius to work out that possibility, do you? To do your dry run, you would need to circumvent the current EU customs regulations to send something from within the EU to another EU nation without using their procedures. That would surely raise eyebrows as it passes people trained to use the current EU customs procedures. It's not rocket science. She then moves on to saying in a no-deal Brexit they would need drivers, which, I'm sorry, They already said they transported Birm by ferry and road, meaning they have drivers to deliver them to the hospitals already. Why would now suddenly they require more drivers than before, when using road transport means you probably relied on drivers much more heavily before? To me, it seems like there will be a roughly similar requirement for drivers in the event of a no-deal Brexit, since last time I checked, no-deal Brexits were not known causes of cancer requiring a higher volume of radioisotope deliveries to be made. How the fuck did you even come to that conclusion? I would love to know. Well, it seems a slightly impartial news reporter at the BBC later shot down the Project Fear nonsense regarding the drug shortages with this little clip.
You know, on the subject of the medication, it was interesting to hear today on Radio 4 that Britain actually exports very high-end medication, and we import a lot of the generic, you know, so there's something of a little positive that people aren't aware of, so that might keep some of the supply routes open.
So there you see it. Europe needs us more than we need them, especially in the sense of drugs. You heard her say on Radio 4 earlier, they said we make and export the specialist medicine while the EU sends us the generic shit medicine. The BBC Newsnight host Emma the Spunk Trumpet Barnett would have known that in advance and completely omitted it from her Newsnight show. Are you biased much, Emma? As we know, this whole segment was just another nonsensical scare tactic by the mainstream media. They're getting really desperate now. Well, I'm going to end the video there anyway, guys. Let me know what you think down in the comments section below. Remember to leave a like, subscribe and share this video as it helps the channel a lot. And I will see you all in the next one.